Vande Mataram. My name is Disha Kothari, intern at Law Chambers of Siddharth Murarka, and today's webinar has been hosted by me. Today we have speaker Miss. Can we start once again?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Namaste Bharat. My name is Disha Kothari, intern at Law Chambers of Siddharth Murarka, and today's webinar is hosted by me. Today we have speakers CS Nesar Ahmed, past president, the ICSI, and we will be speaking on today's topic, that is operation and mismanagement. Now I hand over the session to Shri Nesar sir for enlightening his vast knowledge and experience on the said topic. Thank you. Sir, now you can continue.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Are you getting me now? Everybody is all
Yes,
comfortable?
sir.
My sound is all right? Comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, friends, good afternoon. First of all, I must compliment the Law Club and Siddharth, particularly Siddharth Murarka, who has approached me for this lecture today. And I'm thankful to all of you who now viewers and participants and delegates in this Law Club webinar, which is held now on Operation Mismanagement. The topic is now important one. Now today, because after the setback of insolvency bankruptcy code, what finance minister stated yesterday, that there is going to be moratorium for 1 year in filing these cases of under the insolvency bankruptcy, and particularly when the threshold limit that has been increased from 1 lakh to 1 crore rupees in the earlier days in March. The most of the cases are now likely to be center stage of under operation mismanagement. I will try to do this by presentation and the scheme what we have agreed with Neeraj and coordinator, that 1 hour presentation, 1 hour, 1 hour or 10 minutes, and then we have a Q&A, as many as questions you have to be moderated by our moderator today. So with this all, let me begin with the subject of operation in mismanagement. But prior to that, let me see, this is some problem. All right. Hello, can you now?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Now, since the operation mismanagement, typically it was held with historically by respective high courts under the old Act 1956, which was transferred to by way of amendment in 88. And since then, it was dealt with by Company Law Board until 1st of June, when this new avatar, that is National Company Law Tribunal, came into existence in terms of section 408 of the Companies Act. And this avatar is now going to take entire range of your corporate jurisdiction to be dealt with. There was a challenge before the Honorable Apex Court, Madras Bar Association, we all know, Union of India. Then in that scenario, I think ultimately constitutional validity has been upheld. And then finally, we have been given a new look to this Companies Act 1956 and followed by 2013 Act. Now today we have and a lot of cases which were earlier either to, or not, unlike 1988 amendment, of 1988 amendment, when whatever the cases pending before the respective high courts under operation and mismanagement 397, 398, all those would be dealt with remain worthy in the jurisdiction of the court. But in this type of amendment, after this new act came into being, it was decided by the parliament, let us allow wherever and whatever position the NCLT, CLB seized of operation and mismanagement under the old act, the same would be now transferred to be dealt with by and adjudicated by National Company Law Tribunal. So it was established to have a simpler, speedier, and single judicial forum for adjudicating all the affairs of the companies under the corporate laws. There is a section to deal with this 2 year, the 3 months time, but never ever been this particular period, a timeline that has been assigned to for dealing with the matter of operation mismanagement was adhered to by any tribunal since in last 4 years. However, we have the provisions in the statute, and this today's date, as we go further, this is the scenario today. 28 benches functioning in this country. These are the total strength of 48 members as of now. Many more members are joining another couple of months down the line. So hopefully, after the IBC taking a back seat with the earlier notification of 1 crore, and another notification expected to give moratorium, section 10A was already approved but not yet been notified. So as of now today, if you want, you can file the petition under 7, 9, 10 or because for adjudication, but unless and until, because as of now there is no notification except a statement by the finance minister yesterday. So today, this is the scenario as of now, and with this kind of straight system, we have been now going to the another part of jurisdiction. The jurisdiction, we have around 15 benches across the country in a jurisdiction, I mean location, not benches. Benches are 28, we have been discussed in the previous slide, like 28 benches, like 6 benches we have been here in Delhi, 5 are in Mumbai, Kolkata 2, Ahmedabad 2, and so, all sorts of Hyderabad 2, Chennai 2, and rest of the places we have single bench comprising of a technical member and judicial member. Now, if you see the jurisdiction, these are the 15 locations under which wherein the National Company Law Tribunal exists as of now. And these are the right hand side, the jurisdiction of the bench is already given for the viewers, for the participants to run through. I don't want to, I think spell it by. What I mean, the jurisdiction means here, as and when you want to file a petition under any section of the Companies Act or Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, as I mentioned, that 7, 9, 10 are been now given moratorium for a year. Now, but as and when you think of dealing with the NCLT, you have to see where the corporate body is existed. In other words, the registered office of the company against whom the petition to be filed, the corporate person, where the corporate person is located. The jurisdiction lies on the basis of registered office of the corporate person. So not like that the litigants, where the litigants are. So it is based on the corporate person against whom the litigation to start with. So please remember, you don't go to wrong jurisdiction, otherwise the case would be delayed, and ultimately that particular jurisdictional bench will not entertain the petition later part. It may transfer back to, and it will delay the whole process. Now in this scenario, I would like to deal with, there are host of the Companies Act provisions, as I mentioned to you earlier, 7, 9, 10 and section 59 of IBC. As of now, the NCLT is are dealing with matters arising out of IBC and Companies Act. So far, security matters are not been given, any other matters not been given to, except NCLAT is having appellate part of the CCI, Competition Commission of India. So jurisdiction wise, NCLT is having as of now any matter arising out of Companies Act and Insolvency Bankruptcy Code, only 4 sections where the jurisdiction lies, and matter arising out of the corporate persons only, because Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code has not yet been fully operationalized, only partly, that is with regard to corporate persons, but natural person and partnership not yet been operationalized. So this is the scenario. These are the sections. I don't want to spend time on this, but I'll definitely, I'm expecting a lot of litigations under section 90, and of course, section 58 and 58(9). More sections are going to be dealing with the subject. 130 and already ILFS that has gone. ILFS has gone already in the matter. There is a judgment of Honorable Supreme Court very recently on arising out of section 130. So please remember, 130 is going to stay. and much more vigorously being followed by the litigants called Central Government Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So please note down somewhere 130 and 131 is a voluntary revision of the accounts, what we have already stated 3 years down the line. So because of the lot of inspection and investigation going on in the affairs of the company, even the post-COVID, lot of litigation expected to be. I am expecting around 130, 131 zooming like anything. Similarly, section 140, I'm not going to deal what all those sections meant for. But 140 subsection 5 has already seen the light of the day by Choksi matters in Bombay bench had already dealt with, and the first such decision with regard to a firm of chartered accountants, Mr. Choksi, forgetting the name of the firm exactly, but the first such case was initiated by central government, and it was a lot of print and electronic media highlighted, a lot of press conference by central government. Look, we are going to take care of these elements called auditors, not very easily. They are going to be subjected to IWAS of the complete vigil on these their actions. So I think 140 subsection 5 and followed by Honorable Bombay High Court very recently, the past in a matter of writ petition filed under 226 by BSR, that is KPMG, and Deloitte, the auditors. So these are the lot of issues, lot of press coverage that we have on with regard to this section. So please remember these sections going to stay. I'll come to the operation mismanagement quickly, but I want, because most of you are lawyers and participants are the practitioners, so therefore please gear up yourself. If you really think of going to NCLT, these sections are going to be in future going to be adjudicated upon under 130, 131, 140, and similarly 58 and 59, which I mentioned earlier. Similarly, 213 is going to tested so far by 2-3 matters so far in the history for the last 4 years, but many more are going to be, because matters arising, those who are not in a position, particularly in the case of debenture holders and other instruments other than equity, if they don't have any forum to adjudicate. So this section is going to talk about the mismanagement in the affairs of the company, or which required to be investigated by the investigators, that is called SFIO, Serious Fraud Investigation Office, or the ministry organs, that is regional director, etc., etc. So this 213 is going to stay and going to be invoked post-COVID because a lot of defaults expected to be in the instrument other than equity. For equity, 241 is there, which we are going to discuss operation, but it is some kind of offshoot of operation mismanagement, that is investigation. 216 again, ownership of the company, particularly arising out of the section 90, which was vigorously being followed by the government so far with regard to declaration of beneficial ownership of any person or persons wherever they are located, whether in India or abroad. They have to give declaration that, look, in this particular company, I am the beneficial owner, who happen to be natural person. So if that natural person is having waves of companies, both in India and outside India, thousands of companies, and one of the thousands of the company is having some owner share as a holding subsidiary or otherwise in India in any company, so that in the course of ownership investigation, that gentleman has to be caught, that who is having ultimate beneficial owner, whether he is located somewhere. So idea was that government is now very seriously trying to pursue this particular investigation with regard to ownership of the company. So far, government has given time frame for the corporate as well as that of the shareholders to declare their beneficial ownership under section 90, as I mentioned in the early days. Next one is 221, which was invoked in Gitanjali, that is famous PNB scam. The central government has invoked 221, 222, read with 241, operation mismanagement. So wherever central government and fraud is perpetuated, particularly banking frauds or otherwise larger frauds, I think government is going to invoke under public interest along with 241, they are going to read with 221, 222. So please remember these sections are going to be very well in the domain along with operation mismanagement matter. 230, 231, we know that is merger amalgamation. 232, we have been, jurisdiction was with the high courts, being transferred to be adjudicated upon by tribunals, and the tribunals are seized of a lot of cases. And I'm told that during COVID days, during the pandemics, and lockdown, both Delhi and Mumbai benches are working on dealing with the matters. A special bench created for disposing of huge cases pending before Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, and maybe later on Mumbai and Delhi, and later part we are going to have Chennai and other parts disposal through VC, video conferencing. So matters there. Similarly, we have 245 class action, which was not there in India. Class action was never ever been now talked of, except law of torts. You know, typically law, you are the law, you know the law, law of torts, and law of torts were not been invoked much in the past. But class action, it is very much prevalent in America and European OECD countries. But India has adopted in 2013 Act and have the provisions for 245, and now they have operationalized 245. You remember 8 January, 8 May, that is almost a year before, they have operationalized, notified this 245, and so far, in my knowledge, I think 2 or 3 cases so far being filed but definitely 245 could be, you can also give guidance to prospective clients or your clients that those who are not having the shares or debentures, the deposits, this class can be invoked by depositor holders or one class or other class, debenture holders, other instrument or securities like mutual funds, etc. They can also invoke class action if there is some mismanagement in the affairs, because they can't go, because they are not member of the company, they are not a shareholder, therefore they are not in a position to file and invoke 241 jurisdiction. So but 245 is there to help him, and this is a class action. Not much cases so far, there is no citations as of now, but couple of matters are seized by principal bench. Funny that after 59, winding up by tribunal, because that same tribunal is going to seize off under section 59 of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, but now this particular case is going to be dealt with, because recently I have seen 2 cases. One is before the Mumbai bench, Bangalore bench, another was in Delhi bench. Delhi has already passed an order, Bangalore has yet to pass the order, filed by ROC, respective ROC on behalf of central government before the National Company Law Tribunal with regard to 271(1)(c), that is winding up of the affairs of the company, very healthy company, on the just and equitable ground. So this is another area, a lot of litigation going to be much more, because the central government has already tested the water, the groundwater under section 271. And 272 is the, similar to 271, 272, common to that. 441 is the last section, perhaps in my slide for the introduction. That is with regard to compounding of certain offenses. You know that under the Companies Act, various provision, if you don't comply, you have to be penalized by way of fine or imprisonment or both. This requires compounding. Earlier, the leave of the court was required. Now, leave of the court has been dispensed with, and straight away you can go for compounding if you don't want to litigants, you don't want to continue with the litigation in the special court constituted for this purpose. So one can go for compounding, plead guilty, and plea bargaining. Remember under CRPC, plea bargaining, like similar to have 441 compounding offenses. One can go up to regional director 25 lakhs rupees, but beyond 25 lakhs, it is National Company Law Tribunal. Now with this, friends, I have completed that introduction part, and coming to a straight way my topic that has been given, because it was very important, because NCLT is seizing to not only operation mismanagement, many more areas, wider area, almost all corporate jurisdictions have been now interested to be dealt with by National Company Law Tribunal. Now look at this, operation. So Companies Act or any other law doesn't define. So we have taken a definition from the Black Law Dictionary, the word of what is operation. And this has been very old judgment. This has been incorporated in the House of Lords judgment, and an act of subjecting to cruel and unjust hardship, an act of domination, etc. And later part in a modern time, Honorable Supreme Court, while deciding the matters under the old Act 1956, has many times discussed initially, and they have taken the decision based on the English court judgment. We have a lot of English court judgment prior to our act came into being 1956. Earlier we have 1913 Companies Act where we have operation mismanagement, but hardly seldom we have seen any, hardly a dozen, less than dozen cases, not much cases coming to at that time. But post 1956, we have been seeing a huge round of lot of cases, and that was flooded with the high courts earlier. But because of certain high courts were very slow in disposing of the matter, the government of the day decided at that time, 1988, to change the jurisdiction from high court to company law board. So it was shifted to company law board, and with effect from 31st of May 1991, the word operation and mismanagement under the old act called 397, 398 was given to be adjudicated by company law board, which is no more now. These are being dissolved, and being now new avatar has come, National Company Law Tribunal. So friends, the Honorable Supreme Court has been now dealing with subject, but while a subject, what was the initially hiccup? That the original decision, you remember as a student of law, when in the initial beginning, we have been reading Foss and Harvottle case, Solomon and Solomon, Foss and Harvottle, House of Lords, and Honorable Supreme Court of England, that they have also given a finality. It says majority rules prevail. Minority has no say in the affairs of the company. And that was the dictum. And this was contrary to operation mismanagement, which was upheld by Honorable Supreme Court. The concept of Foss and Harvottle case was Rajamundry Electric Supply Corporation Limited versus Nageshwar Rao AIR 1950 SC 213, where the court has opined very detailed thought process given in favor of the majority. Please, in favor of the majority. But slowly and gradually after this 1956, as I mentioned, the new focus was there because industrialization has started now happening. Earlier it was with the government domain, but private sectors also started happening after East India Company, abolition of this, and then more cases. Earlier it was sole proprietorship and mostly partnership businesses. The corporate form of businesses started gaining momentum post independence in the larger way, and particularly when the government started giving a corporate formats to the development, and all big size companies that was formed under the Companies Act by the government. So remember 1950 onward till 1975, I can say that is a period with which more focus of government was to do business. And almost 90% businesses were controlled, big businesses were controlled by government, union government, and also state government, certain boards, CPSCs and state PSUs and so on and so forth. So this was the period, but post 74 or 75, we have started now looking at a bigger amendment has taken place in the Companies Act, allowing more leeway to the private sectors to partnering with the government or compete with the government. So some sort of competition has started now seen, and more particularly after 1984, when the chapter 3 of concentration of economic power from the MRTP Commission, MRTPC, you can say 1964, totally was abolished in 1984. And thereafter, post 1991, when we have our private sector more booming, so more and more corporatization of the management that has taken place in the private hand. So what I'm trying to say, 1956 Acts gaining momentum, operation mismanagement, not much work has been done. I remember one Gujarat High Court matters, very old, Sangram Singh Gaikwad matter. It was there pre-1988, before the Act amended, allowing CLV to seize of this matter. It was almost 15-20 years. It was lying there in Honorable Gujarat High Court, not been adjudicated upon Sangram Singh Gaikwad matters. But later part, it was started agitating before in CLV, and CLV has passed huge number of, if recollect, 1991 and till abolition of dissolution of CLV, we have thousands of cases of under operation mismanagement. As and when as a student of law, we are thinking of any citation, old citation, please refer to CLV judgments, which was upheld by most of the time upheld by Honorable Supreme Court through, of course, High Court's route. So please remember, those who are thinking of venturing into or already there in the operation mismanagement, they need to have this part. So therefore, friends, their new avatar of NCLT, and particularly arising out of under 213 amendments. It's not amendment which are replacing the old act, it's the new act came into, and they have retained section 241 to 244. The provisions, all the provisions of our old act 397, 398, 399, 402, 403, and so on and so forth. All those sections have been combined, and there is no much change that has occurred in the while adopting this new act, and they have retained. So, friends, as and when you feel dealing with or any matter on operation and mismanagement, 241 is the substantive provisions which require a person or persons who happen to be the members to agitate by way of filing a petition, substantive petition, before the Honorable Tribunal of the jurisdictional or Honorable Tribunal with regard to the affairs of the company that have been or are being conducted. So there is a change. Under the old act, only and only matters could be complained of which are continuous in nature on the date of filing. In other words, if the actions have been occurred, some violation taken place, some mismanagement has happened, one go, but is not continuous in nature, that cannot be agitated. So we used to go initially by filing a miscellaneous application, or you can say IA. Today it's called IA under the NCLT regime. There is no miscellaneous application, or there is no word called company application, or so on and so forth. Now the NCLT directed the NCLT to use only one word called IA, interlocutory application. So no more now miscellaneous, but still Mumbai bench has started marking MA and so on and so. But now NCLT has given a direction to all the bench. So please remember now, once for those who are practicing different tribunal, only one standard word which is arising out of tribunal. I'll come little later on this. So friends, 241 is the substantive law which require not only you can agitate the matters in your petition with regard to continuous offense, which is continuing, the offense which was occurred, mismanagement happened or being happening till date, but you have to also touch base of those cases or those instances where the case has already been happened, but not in the today's day, it is continuing. So have been or are being conducted, that is the meaning, and that is a major shift that I remember one judgment of agitation before the CLB, and then it was gone to the Honorable Supreme Court, and Singapore law was quoted, and Singapore law talks of, in other words, if you are coming to acquiring the shares by way of transfer or through market operation, then you cannot talk of anything under operation mismanagement of the action that has already been done prior to your name is entered into register of member as a beneficial in a beneficial owner or beneficial member, right? So past action of the company cannot be talked of in the petition being brought to the notice of the tribunal. That was the issue. But with the 2013 Amendment Act, new act, they have now allowing you to also agitate. In Singapore, other jurisdiction, they have been Australia, in London, in England, they have been also dealing with the past matter. So India was not adopted, changed their earlier part 1956 Act till 2013 Act came into being, replacing old Act. So please remember, past Act could be also agitated. So it is called demurrer, but past Act required to be also agitated. If you wish to, you can do so with the documentary evidence. So whatever allegation you are going to have. So this is all about. Similarly, so that section is, I'm not going to read the section, but this is the section 241, who is subject to 244. What is 244? Then you deal with 242. And 242 deals with the power of the NCLT. Subsection 1 is the general power, and 2 is the specific power, a huge power, unfettered power, I can use the word, that has been conferred to by the statute to be dealt with by NCLT while deciding or adjudicating upon the matter of NCLT operation mismanagement. So please remember, anytime you are going for ad interim relief or final relief, it has to be under 242 subsection 2. Please glance through this section and accordingly you draft your petition and push through what you are going to claim, that this is the subsection and the clause, etc., where you want the NCLT to venture into and decide upon. So similarly, okay, 242 is the power again. The matter, as I mentioned, that's unfettered power that has been given to the tribunal to adjudicate the matters complained of in order to bring to an end all the issues raised by the petitioner in his petition or her petition or their petitions. So 242 subsection 2, remember that power is a general power to regulate the affairs of the company. Ad interim relief could be granted by NCLT itself in subsection 2 itself is a general power. But there is a subsection 4 in 242, and please note these two judgments which I thought I should say. This is the first such two judgment. Never ever 4 was invoked. What we used to do typically while filing the petition under section 241, operation mismanagement, we used to have draft the main petition, the interim relief, and the final relief, or you can say final relief or interim relief. So pending adjudication of the final relief and petition, because petition to be adjudicated after the pleadings are completed, after filing the reply, rejoinder, etc., etc. So all those rituals to be completed, but you want some immediately relief. What to do with that? So we used to invoke 242 subsection 2, but now 2-3 benches has started now asking a specific application. Please remember interrogatory application under subsection 4 for issuing ad interim relief, giving any relief pending adjudication. They say that is a substantive power under 242 subsection 2, but since the petitioner is now looking for some relief pending adjudication, let him file an IA or at least pay the fees, and the fee is 2,500 over and above 10,000 rupees. Right, I'll deal with that part. So these two judgments are important. One is the Allahabad bench, Ganesh Yadav Sajam Housing Company, where NCLT directed the petitioner to pay 2,500 rupees extra fees, even though you don't wish to file a separate application and your petition is a complete petition where you have been asking interim relief, ad interim relief, final adjudication. Similarly, NCLAT, in the matter of Mukesh Mehta and others versus Silverland Developers, very recently, on 31st of Jan 2020, another few months back, I have upheld the decision of another bench, not Allahabad bench, in the matter of Mukesh Mehta, that is the NCLT or NCLT is right in asking invocation of 242 subsection 4. So I am expecting little time on this. So please remember those we have been now trying to take space in operation mismanagement. 242 subsection 4 is going to be a separate application. You can file or you can agitate, you pay additional fees, 2,500 over and above. Similarly, that another section which was inserted with effect from 15th of August 2019, very important section. One can took note of this part. 4As was inserted in the statute book by the Parliament, effective from, which was operationalized from 15th of August, that is Independence Day. And what this section is, there is no independence to directors and officers of the company, and including managing director. So their independence has been taken away on the day of independence. So remember that part. The central government has now imposed the restriction that in all the matters, what is the meaning there? In all the matters of operation mismanagement, the court has to give an opinion at the end of the day in the final order, whether the affairs of the company have been conducted prejudicial to the interests of the company member or company or the public at large, and affairs of the company conducted prejudicial to the interests of the any creditors, etc. So if that finding is coming from the tribunal, there is oppressive actions, there is a mismanagement in the affairs of the company, then it is a duty cast upon by this Amendment Act on the NCLT to also state whether the affairs of the company whether the affairs of the company which was managed by board of directors, including managing director, chairman, and the other officers of the company have been guilty of doing mismanagement. I mean, it is a duty cast upon the board. Managing the overall responsibility lies with the officer of the company. Now that National Company Law Tribunal henceforth has to give an opinion whether it's a fit and proper person. These gentlemen or lady who's happy to be the member of the board of this company, which is mismanaged, are fit and proper person to continue to be the director or to be removed from the director of this company, and also not to continue to be the director in another company for 5 years. Of course, subject to leave of court, period could be reduced if some good work has been done, or something is being brought by the officer who has been terminated or who ceased to be the director or removed by the NCLT. You know ILFS case, you know the Unitech matters. I'll deal with little later. So 15th of August, remember, now henceforth, if you have to agitate also as a petitioner counsel, like these people are unfit people. They don't have, because the first criteria, fit and proper person, was attributed to during 5 years back by RBI, Reserve Bank of India, almost 2014-15 or so. Fit and proper criteria guideline was being adopted. Thereafter SEBI, thereafter IRDA, and most of the regulators. Now the Companies Act was recently inducted, fit and proper criteria, broadly in the line of what RBI initiated for the regulating the market of these people, those who have been market intermediaries by SEBI, also they have brought in there in all the level. So please remember, this is very important substantive law. I leave this 42, 43, all these agreements, termination, I will not spend time. 3-4 slides is there on 243, because very huge power. And if you don't follow, and provisions of 243 is a huge penalty, and it is not non-compoundable. It is a cognizable offense. It is a cognizable offense, right? So remember 240, any order passed under 242 not been complied with, cognizable offense, 1 lakh to 5 lakh per person, company and officer who is in default, they have to pay, and plus imprisonment 1 to 3 years. Here in 243, 6 months, up to 6 months, and the fee is also up to 5 lakhs or both. So 242 is more rigorous, which is a non-compoundable. Similarly, next I'll leave 244. I'll take 2-3 minutes on this. 1 minute is dealing with the subject, section 241, or right to apply under section 241. I'm sorry, this is typo error. 2411 is mentioned, but it is dealing with 241 subsection 1. Subsection 1, it requires members having requisite number or percentage, they can singly or jointly file the petition under operation mismanagement under 241 subsection 1. But if you don't have requisite numbers, the numbers are 10% of the, if the company is having share capital 10%, either one member or members holding 10% share capital, or 10% in the numbers, or 100 members, irrespective of numbers, even 1 share each, 100 members. It was there in 399 old act. Those who are practicing NC before CLB days, 399 was section. And if you are not having this criteria, what do you do with that? You have to go to earlier on central government under subsection 4 of 399. We used to go to central government and file an application seeking their mandate to file a petition before CLB under 399 subsection 4. But this, after adopting new set of Companies Act, what they did, they have removed this via media route. I mean, there is no need, in other words, there is no need if you don't have 10% criteria meeting out, and even if you have a very strong case, you can give your guidance to the client to file section 244 petition, application along with the main petition of 241. So along with 2 petition, you file interlocutory application under 244, saying that there is a huge round of mismanagement happening here. Lot of cases, instances are there. We have a lot of documentary evidence which attributes that operation mismanagement happening in the affairs of the company, but because of the reason that I do not hold 10% criteria as laid down in 244, and therefore I am deprived of filing this petition under 241 and 242 and 243. Therefore, I may be permitted to file and accept my petition. So NCLT has to pass an order, a speaking order under 244, and allowing the person or disallowing the person. Being aggrieved, any order of NCLT is appealable before the NCLAT, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal, within 45 days. Similarly, case, you remember Tata case, initially 2017, Tata Sons versus Cyrus Mistry, the executive chairman of Tata Sons. He was been ousted by the board of directors from the chairmanship, executive chairmanship, and then he had gone to file operation mismanagement because Suporji Palanji group holding 18% or something percentage of shares in the affairs of the company. But there is no mismanagement except the management with regard to removal of our gentleman called anyway, that's it. So Cyrus Mistry. So that has been done. The NCLT initially rejected his application, saying that there is no case being made out because there is no mismanagement qua the members, Suporji Palanji. So therefore, I mean, these are the issue. It was agitated before NCLAT. NCLAT has ruled in favor of appellant and say that remanded back the matter to the NCLT Mumbai bench to deal with this matter in substantive matters of 241, and instead don't go and brush aside under 244 that Cyrus is not a member and he cannot agitate, but he is having support of others. So this is the first landmark judgment of NCLAT under 244. There are other judgments thereafter of the NCLAT, and thereafter again the NCLT started, but this is the first such judgment of 2017, 244. I leave here 244, and now straightway, as I mentioned already, this Cyrus issue, later part matter has been now, finally it was disposed of by NCLT Mumbai, the main petition under 241, operation mismanagement, found that there is no oppressive action on the part of Tata Sons, which was appealed. I mean, the appeal was light. Appeal was filed before the NCLAT. NCLAT thereafter passed an order saying that no, there was a mismanagement in the affairs of the company, and reinstating Cyrus on the board of Tata Sons, and also saying that the conversion from public to private was wrong on the part of ROC. Pass some order, some words being used by NCLAT order. One can read. Thereafter, it was modified further upon the appeal filed by central government that look, ROC is the custodian, there is a registry, and so long as the resolution was passed and section 14 was complied with, we need not go much on this. So all that has happened anyway. So I'm not going because it's a huge judgment, but the matter is seized up by Honorable Supreme Court and stay is there. The impugn order is stayed by the Honorable Supreme Court. So I'll not deal with as of now, but one can really read if someone is interested in operation mismanagement matter. This judgment is also a landmark judgment of both order you can see and go through yourself of NCLT Mumbai and also the NCLAT Delhi. Law of limitations, the part 4 dealing with, friends, 433, you know, the original sections dealing with 433, and then law of limitations already there, and 2 judgments that has come, of course, in the matter of IBC, but it was also agreed to for all the person. It means NCLT is having jurisdiction to entertain law of limitation matters, and you cannot press aside. Earlier in CLB, there was no, through, remember, 397, 398 days, limitation law was not there applicable to. So delay and latches cases was only agitated. Very rarely we have some issue of pushing through the case of admission on delay and latches basis. But this 433 came into, as I mentioned, 433 was inserted in the statute itself to say that provisions of Limitation Act 1963 shall as far as may be applied to proceeding or appeals before the tribunal or appellate tribunal as the case may be. So therefore now please remember we have to go through, and these are the landmark latest judgment, BK Educational Society Services Private Limited and Sagar Sharma. Similarly, section 137 of law of limitation say 3 years maximum period. One really has to remember that part. Now appeal, I can say, against the order if passed by the honorable tribunal, 45 days under the Companies Act, not IBC. Don't mistake. IBC only 30 days. But today we are only concentrating not IBC but Companies Act. Companies Act, that is the 45 days. Within 45 days from the date of order, free copy is given to you, duly signed by the registry as a certified copy. And if you don't be given free copy, but better would be always as a lawyer, I think you have been doing all, but the sake of those who have been now not yet been dealing with, the day order is now reserved or pronounced, you must file a certified copy, application for certified copy, a small letter, memo, and that's all. So at least limitation will 45 days will not trigger, because whatever time that has taken place by the registry from the date of pronouncement of the order till the date of certified copy being given, that days would be now ignored while calculating 45 days or whatever case, 60 days as the case may be. So this is the appeal part. I'll take 2-3 minutes more and then close. 241, 242, as I mentioned, 10,000 rupees the fees. Under, I mentioned 242 subsection 4, 2,500. And all interlocutory application under Rule 11, 1,000 rupees. So nothing is free. So you have to pay fees. Without fees, cannot be taken up. If someone is going to have inspection of record, 200 per inspection as per Rule 114 of NCLT rules. And then the fees is to be paid by way of demand draft, etc., in favor of pay and accounts officer, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. Now they have changed the policy framework of Bombay bench, as they started now asking for even the online payment and some particular designated bank. So one really has to, wherever you go and appear before which bench, the registry must see what is the rituals being performed before this particular bench. So this is the caution. A few case law I'll just take quickly, and then on operation mismanagement, and then we will have Q&A. The case law is like that. Under the new Act, Companies Act, we have Unitech matter, very important matter, which was dealt with by NCLT. Unitech says they have allowed operation mismanagement because depositors, what has happened, huge depositors were there in the large number, and a lot of irregularities were there, which was investigated by central government, and then Union of India thereafter filed seeking direction. Remember, Union can file petition under section 242 subsection 2. 242 subsection 2. So this, 241 subsection 2, I'm so sorry. 241 subsection 2, the Union of India. General public 241 subsection 1, but central government will file the petition under section 241 subsection 2 on the public interest. It's called larger public interest involved, and there is a siphoning of funds, etc., etc. So NCLT held the affairs of respondent company were being conducted against large public interest, and therefore the prima facie case was made out under 242 subsection 4, and ad interim relief was granted in favor of the appellant, the petitioner, central government. And all the directors have been suspended their duties to perform as a directors of Unitech, and the new set of directors, as was pointed out by central government, so they are the nominee of central government, or they are answerable to central government and to conduct the affairs of the company. So this is the situation that has happened. Cyrus has already discussed, Mysteries matters have already been discussed. Important judgment, inclined judgment. Cyrus, I leave Cyrus. Tata Sons. Yes, there is another matter, Adarsh Builds Estate, where section 242 subsection 2 was invoked. Operation mismanagement matter was filed by government, central government, through Ministry of Corporate Affairs and the Serious Fraud Investigation Office before the NCLT Delhi, because jurisdictional then, Chandigarh, I'm sorry, NCLT Chandigarh bench, which was passed interim order saying that respondent companies were restrained from transferring the assets of the company, which is ritual. Then individual respondents are also restrained from alienating, transferring, very important, encumbering any of their immovable property and the property comprising of shares, mutual funds, etc., and that of the respondent company till further orders. So here is very severely individual respondents like directors, etc., all they have been debarred for their own personal assets to be debarred from, alienating or creating encumbrances or selling, disposing, etc., etc. Not only that, even the shares and mutual funds, etc., of other companies and of that Indian companies. So you can't change. Nothing you can move without a very harsh order ad interim ex parte order. Please remember. This was ex parte order without hearing the side. They have gone to NCLAT, this issue, and NCLAT says, okay, we will hear you. You go and hear, get yourself here. It was wrong, but till next date, we are protecting your interest. You go, and then allowing NCLAT has says, okay, you draw up to 1 lakh rupees from your personal account, director or KMP, company secretary, CFO, etc., of this company to withdraw up to 1 lakh rupees from the personal account, not from the company, and don't take any salary or any perquisites, etc., from the company. So please remember, this is the harsh decision. This was modified by NCLAT. Now, very important judgment that was there. Of course, the title is wrong, but it was there. Basically, you remember this PNB scam. The PNB scam matter. We used to, the central government originally filed a petition. I can share with you quickly so that at least you should know the subject. In the PNB scam matter, central government filed a petition against Gitanjali James Limited, Mehul Choksi and Nirav Modi, etc. All sorts of, couple of companies, huge companies are there. Long list of memo parties. And original petition, the bank officials were not there as a memo parties, as a respondent, necessary party for adjudication of this dispute. But thereafter, CBI has filed a charge sheet before the Mumbai court, a special court. And there in charge sheet, final charge sheet, they have added, CBI added the names of bank officials and other respondents who are nothing to do with the Gitanjali day-to-day affairs. But they have been also named as a respondents, as a party before the special court of CBI. Based on these findings, or sorry, the charge sheet filed, the central government has filed application and sought amendment in the memo of parties, and they filed a fresh memo of parties, including all the names of the bank officials and others who are named in the charge sheet to be the necessary party in the matter of Gitanjali James, where we have the very famous scam that has taken place in this. So NCLT pass an order admitting their application and directing and issuing the notices to all the, giving direction to the central government to serve a copy of the petition to the newly inducted respondents and allowing them to complete the process. Against this order of NCLT, a couple of officials, bank officials, not only Usha Anand Subramaniam, but many others, a couple of them have gone to NCLAT against the straight way, instead of going to originally filing before the NCLT saying that it is a wrong findings. But what they did, since they were not party before that date, they were not party to that. But as advised at that time, they were straight away filed the petition appeal against this order before the NCLAT. NCLAT has finally, after 1-2 hearing here and there, has stated that, look, you have not touched base of NCLT Mumbai. Don't come a straight way. First you go and say whatever you intend to say before the bench, because this issue was never before the NCLT. If you go and say what you are saying here before the NCLAT, that matter could be well addressed to by the NCLT Mumbai bench itself. Maybe that you can get. So don't jump in the queue, go to the queue, go to the first deity, then come to the next deity. I'm sorry, I'm using some different language. So that the matter was disposed of accordingly. Then matter was agitated before NCLT, but in the meantime, the parties were advised and SLP was filed, and company application was filed, miscellaneous application was filed before the NCLT, Honorable Supreme Court, and Honorable Supreme Court after hearing has passed this order. This is the nutshell, giving a Being aggrieved with the officials, a straightway preferred an appeal before NCLAT as mentioned. Being aggrieved, NCLT as mentioned. Then SC further, SC has passed an order. SC says, Honorable Supreme Court has mentioned this part, very important. It's very important to read the findings. It says, Honorable Supreme Court for observe that 337 refers to penalty for frauds by an officer of the company in which mismanagement has taken place. Likewise, section 399 refers to any business of the company which has been carried on with the intent to defraud creditors of that company. Now, persons referred to in section 3391 as persons who are other than the parties to the carrying on the business in the matter of aforesaid, which again refers to the business of the company, like 337, 339, in case of winding up. Affairs of the winding being wound up, the 337, 339 could be invoked to get the money back to the company. So this order was very draconian order kind of by NCLT against the bank officials. So person, or even the earlier matter which I referred to, but these people have not gone to Honorable Supreme Court because they are behind bar, the promoters. The earlier matter which I mentioned, Buildtech matters. The persons referred to 399 persons who are not there, which again refers to business of the company, which is being mismanaged and not to the business of another company. So therefore the bold is there like that. The Honorable Supreme Court has given a very left, right, center, saying that the powers under this section, that is 241 subsection 2, that is central government operation mismanagement, read with 337, 339, in the affairs of wound up, the affairs of the company, personal assets being attached, etc., cannot possibly be utilized in order that a person who may be the head of some other organization, like Usha was the CMD or MD or CEO of Punjab National Bank at that time, be roped in and his or her assets be attached. That was a very draconian order was passed, as I mentioned, by NCLT Mumbai bench, attaching the personal assets, asking them not to dispose of, alienate, or encumbered, or sell, or create any third party right against the personal assets of these individuals, officials. Supreme Court very heavily came, set aside all the orders qua bank officials and other respondents who are not party to the original memo of parties. And both the orders were set aside, and that was the very landmark judgment, my dear. So one really has to, remember this Honorable Supreme Court. And another one is the judgment of Hari Shankaran versus very recently, that was passed by the Honorable Supreme Court, and says, they remember pending 241, 242 adjudication, final adjudication. The Honorable Supreme, the central government has filed before NCLT an application under 130, saying that we want to have 5 years accounts to be reopen the 5 years accounts. NCLT passed an order in favor of petitioner, that is government. Matter went to appeal. NCLAT also not agree, upheld the order of NCLT, says nothing. It is in a larger public interest. What is the harm? Let it be reopened. Let it be reassessed. Let them see what they want. We will not interfere at this time. NCLAT 2 also has not inclined to give any relief to the appellant. Then they went to Honorable Supreme Court. Honorable Supreme Court, after hearing, disposed of or dismissed the petition filed by the appellant, applicant petitioner, Hari Shankaran. That is official, he is the official bank director, etc. So what has happened? They have decided, no, in the larger public interest, we allow the government to recast, to reopen the books of accounts and financial for 5 years. So this is the first landmark judgment, as I mentioned initially while dealing with 130. So those who are practicing NCLT, 130 is going to create 130, 131, both sections. I'll not deal with much on the Hari Shankar. The Union of India through MCA versus Delhi Gymkhana. Okay, versus Gymkhana. Oh, matter is now already sub judice, very initial stage. Again, 241 subsection 2 was invoked against the Gymkhana Club, the famous Gymkhana, Delhi Gymkhana Club. So that has been, matter is seized up. Matter is now already today was the special court for dealing with, I do not know. Since morning, I am busy in VC. Since morning to morning hour, I was there in the ICSI till 1:30 and then now with you guys. So I couldn't find time to understand what has happened today before Honorable NCLT Principal Bench. So quickly, I can leave it. I can leave it for you, this presentation. These are the old judgments of Honorable Supreme Court dealing with operation mismanagement. These are celebrated judgment. Shanti Prasad Jain versus Kalinga Tubes. You know, while you are going to argue the matters under operation mismanagement, either for the petitioner or respondent, please go through these celebrative judgments of Shanti Prasad versus Kalinga Tube, where the three ratios were now there. Appellant alleged that affairs of the company were being conducted in manner oppressive, etc. Court held undoubtedly there has been oppressive conduct of the majority shareholders over minority. However, acts of operation must be continuous acts. You remember, have been or being conducted, but it is an old act. Now have been also been now added. So because of the outcome of this Kalinga matters, the amendment, the 2013 Act seized off even the old matters also. He says, however, acts of operation must be continuous act on part of the majority shareholders continuing up to the date of petition. Remember, are being conducted. Prior to that, there is a word called have been or. Read the law very carefully, and therefore the Kalinga was taken care of by the government or a legislature by having 2013 Act by recasting 241 subsection 1 to allow have been or are being conducted prejudicially to the interest of the company. Mere lack of confidence, etc., between the shareholders is not enough. Lack of confidence, unless operation of a majority invokes lack of an element of fair dealing to a minority member in the matter of, it has gone in favor of the management of Kalinga Tubes. Similarly, Sangram Gaikwad, you remember the celebrative judgment, went up to 3 rounds, CLB, High Court, Supreme Court, back again to CLB, High Court and Supreme Court, back again to the CLB, High Court and Supreme Court. So it is again checker history of Sangram Singh Gaikwad. Remember, Honorable Gujarat High Court was seized of matter. Very long matter, very old matters. So one really has to spend time to read. Chatterjee Petrochem is another landmark judgment where shareholders has certain rights of the Companies Act, which are in the nature of statutory rights, like right to receive notice of the board meeting if he is a member of the board, right to receive the notice for shareholders meeting, right to receive dividend warrants if there is a dividend that in the, these are the statutory rights conferred by the law and certain rights under the articles. And if there is an infringement of these rights, he has right to agitate under 241 or earlier 397. This is the nut, sub and substance judgment. The apex court held that pure enforcement of shareholders' contracts is outside the scope of 397. However, legitimate expectation arises only through such agreements. So there was a joint venture, and that joint venture was never been part of the articles of association. In other words, company was not party to that joint venture between two set of shareholders. And therefore, the court says, no. These are only the contracts. It is outside the scope of 397. You can't agitate 397. But he has given relief also. Thus, it is important to other courts to reconsider the enforceability of such agreements. Whether even if certain provisions of the agreements not there in the articles of association, but a company cannot function without looking at those provisions which are there between two set of shareholders. So in this scenario, that was a very lengthy judgment. Chatterjee Petrochemical was Haldia Petrochemical, very celebrated, very famous judgment under 397, 398. Another judgment, I want to the judgment and then close. Dale and Carrington, very judgment. Those who have been appearing before the NCLT, particularly in NCLT, Needle and Needle, Dale and Carrington, Sangram Gaikwad, Haldia Petrochemical. These are the celebrative judgment that has been passed by, upheld by the Supreme Court, and a lot of ratio laid down in this particular judgment. Dale and Carrington, I leave. Needle Industries, I mentioned. These are the celebrative judgment. So those who are thinking of involving himself or herself or themselves to interface with the NCLT on operation and mismanagement as a domain expertise, these judgments are going to aid and assist. Download all those judgments from the Honorable Supreme Court compilation or SEC folder. You can go to SEC folder or SEC hard also filing is there. Supreme Court cases reported to, and maybe you can say through. Radharaman case, Chandrasekhar Raja matters. Again, CLB, the Act of CLB, SC held that a CLB is at liberty to pass such further orders under Section 402, that is the unfettered power I mentioned, 241 subsection 2, 242 subsection 2, if I mention in the initial remarks of my while dealing with the substantive law, that similar section was there before CLB hands, that is 402. And Honorable Supreme Court says, this judgment was very important. I'm sorry, because of this. These judgments were there, this Honorable Supreme Court under the old Act. But now, hello, am I all right?
Yes.
All right. This, if someone is now interested in, work under rule, this NCLT, I tell you, Rule 20 to Rule 33, I'll not scroll, I'll just leave. Rule 20 to Rule 33 are the important general rule which require for anyone and everyone to interact with. In addition to, there are 3 rules, Rule 50, and then you have 80, 81, 82, and 83, particularly dealing with the operation mismanagement. So meaning thereby, it's very important to go through the provisions of rules of NCLT, that is rule number 20 to rule 33. These are general rules for all the petitions, whether it's operation mismanagement or any other petition. Similarly, that rules are important tool. But if you want to file a specific petition under operation mismanagement, then rule 81, 82, 83 are the rules important for all of us to go through. It is a specific. Not coming. Problem here. These are the 1-2 slides. We have kept it for a scrutiny, very standard scrutiny checklist. So for the practitioners, important for if you are filing the petition, you have to see what is the jurisdiction, etc. All this check. So I leave this quickly. Then rules, I leave this. With this all, I complete, I think, 1 hour time that has been assigned to. Thank you so very much once again to my friend Siddharth, and of course Neeraj and yourself. Thank you very much for invite, and thank you all the participants and the delegates in this webinar. Any questions we have, I would like to answer all those questions, please. I'll leave it to the moderator for taking further this matter. Thank you.
Sir, there are a few questions.
Please go ahead with this.
First question, what options a director has if he is attempted to be outset by other directors by giving false charges of operations and or mismanagement?
First, sorry, come again. What first director?
What options a director has if he is attempted to be outset by other directors by leaving false charges of operations and mismanagement?
All right. I think director having, if he is not a member, of course, 241 cannot be invoked. But a director himself has a right to agitate the matter. A director, purely a director, if he is a director, not a member, and he's being ousted, he can go to another court, not NCLT, because directorial complaint cannot be entertained under operation mismanagement.
So next question. It has been seen that both in the case of listed as well as private companies, the funds are siphoned out and ultimately land in the hands of relatives of management. Can a bereaved member file lifting of corporate will and demand attachment of asset of those relatives?
Yes, answer is yes. Through 241 matters, operation mismanagement, huge power under 243. Again, all those directions given to under 242, but it is a final relief, not immediate. Interim relief, you can have the interim relief not to alienate, create third-party right of those assets that have been transferred by the management to their relatives. But if you happen to be having 10% shareholder, first and foremost criteria to have the eligibility to file the petition under 244. Criteria is 244 criteria. Answer is yes. If he is a member having requisite qualification of number of shares, can file operation mismanagement and seek direction from the honorable tribunal on ad interim basis that these are the assets that have been taken away from the company and being handed over to without any consideration or roughly, I mean, throwaway price, etc., to the relative of the management. And we are agitating that this is the mismanagement. That is a very important case of mismanagement in this case. Yes.
Next question. Is there any option to file the petition if period of limitation under section 137 has expired?
Generally, the court is not encouraging if 137 talks of 3 years actions or the particular original action that has been emanated, like in case of something that has happened. You have been your shares have been now transferred, or your membership has gone, or maybe you have been now given some not good treatment, like you do not have the copy of minutes, you have not been given an inspection of records, notice of meeting, etc., etc. Your right is there, a statutory right as a member and the director. But after the 3 years down the line, after the action is completed, then 137 Divarim, one limitation act, read with 143, if someone counsel is coming before the tribunal, say that the matter is agitated how, is already time barred. So one really has to work as a counsel for the petitioner to say that it is a continuous offense, like if he's continuing with the director, or he's challenging the transfer of shares, he's challenging the ownership that has been created against him, something, or challenging the allotment of shares. So back, even the 3 years back, some allotment was taken place or transfer has taken place. Backdated transfer have been conducted. So again, what is coming? If you remember section 241 subsection 1, the affairs of the company have been or are being conducted. So therefore you read carefully the particular provisions of law, and then you can say there is no bar because the offense is continuing here as of now. I am oppressed by the majority and I have been not given notice, etc. Okay? Any question further?
Last question, sir.
Only.
Can you elaborate on the difference between section 241 and 245?
Well, 241 could be only filed by, one difference is a straight way. 241 could only be filed by the members. That means shareholders of the company, members of the company, whose name are registered in the register of members, enter into register of members maintained by the company under section 2, subsection 41. There is called member definition, right? But 245 can be invoked by depositors, can be invoked by the members. So members can also go for class action, and also debenture holders, creditors. The word is creditors. Debenture holders is also creditors. Like similarly, some bond holders, some bond is there, some warrants are there, which has some underlying shares or the what is called debentures at the end of the certain time. Warrants, you remember, these are the instruments which typically a company issue to the to their members or their investors. They are bringing investment, private equity, some warrants issued. So in that scenario, one can invoke if so long as warrants has not yet been matured to be the shares, converted into shares. Then what will do? If there is a mismanagement happening in the affairs of the company, he can file class action along with depositors, right? Or himself he can file if he's having a criteria 245. So this is the difference between 245 and 241. All questions?
Questions, sir.
Siddharth is having any question? Neeraj is having any question? Anybody is having questions? So 520 is there now. Is Siddharth is there online? Okay. So I must give you another thanks to all of you for opportunity being given to me and having interaction. and many more questions, maybe we can discuss through email if any. And my slide is there. If any particular question on any issue, we can discuss later. Thank you once again to all of you for this opportunity. Thank you.
So thank you, sir, for enlightening us on today's topic. It was indeed a very informative session for all of us, and I'm sure the same will surely help us in uplifting our profession to the new heights. We are looking forward to have many more sessions by you in the near future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you so very much. Bye.